that look good? Thanks.
Perfect.
Okay, great. So again, I'm Jolie Spiers. I'm with the Small Business Development Center. We are an affiliate of the Hampton Roads Chamber. They're actually our host organization, but we're a separate entity, a separate 501c6, and we are part of a national group of resource centers for small businesses and entrepreneurs. So within the state of Virginia, we're part of Virginia's SBDC network. There's about 20 different centers across the Commonwealth. The Hampton Roads SBDC, again, sponsored by, or hosted, I should say, by the Hampton Roads Chamber. And we are a team of business and technical experts, and we're here to advise, listen, and assist entrepreneurs confidentially and at no charge to the businesses that we serve. We work with businesses at all stages, from ideation, so you're thinking about an idea for a business that you've always wanted to start, to folks who have been in business for 5 or 10 years and are still trying to grow and expand. So the majority of the work that we do is one-on-one advising with small businesses. And you can see some of our partners down at the bottom of the screen. We're funded by the Small Business Administration, so we receive federal funds that are matched by local dollars, and those local dollars come from the 16 localities that we serve in Hampton Roads. We go up in Williamsburg and Gloucester and the Historic Triangle, the whole peninsula. We go down into Franklin, Southampton, Isle of Wight. We cover the entire south side, Norfolk, Chesapeake, Virginia Beach. And then we cover the 2 counties on the eastern shore. So we have a pretty wide geographic range here in Hampton Roads, but it's a lot of fun to be able to work with so many different types of businesses every day. We see about 850 businesses a year. Last year, those businesses did about $25 million in capital formation, 100 jobs created and retained, and we helped 20 new businesses get started. So here's a little bit of this very ambitious agenda when Freddie and Elizabeth and Justin invited me to come and speak to y'all today. They said, well, can you talk a little bit about like legal organizations for businesses and also maybe some of the certifications that businesses could get that might help them in their business. And I'll bet we could talk for an hour about any one of those subjects. So it's going to be kind of fast and furious. I'd also like to give you an overview of the Small Business Development Center a little bit more, share a little more with y'all about that. I'm going to talk fast, but it's also going to be pretty informal. So if you have questions, like Freddie said, she's going to monitor the chat, but I don't mind if you unmute yourself and just jump in and ask a question while I'm going through all of this, even though I think we're also going to have some time at the end for Q&A too. So you've heard me talk a little bit about our overview. Here's some frequent areas that we do that one-on-one advising with businesses around. Again, that ideation phase. You want to open a business and you want to have a great foundation that you're putting together. Business planning, business projections, including writing a business plan. That would be a whole other topic about the importance of business plans, but there's lots of reasons to put a business plan together, not the least of which is that funders are often going to be looking for a business plan when you're going out there to raise capital. Your market position, what does the competition look like? Who else is trying to do the same thing that you're doing? When you're bringing staff and employees on board, that's a great time to meet with a business advisor. We have the equivalent of a chief human resources officer on our team. Your business structure, we're going to talk a little bit about that today. Again, funding and access to capital, that's what every small business owner is thinking about, money, money, money. Your financials, again, those projections, how you're using your financial projections and how you're using your balance sheet and your profit and loss statements to help make business decisions to guide your growth. Real estate acquisition, you're ready to purchase the building that you've been leasing or you're ready to purchase a second location. We can talk a little bit about what the financing for that might look like and some of the resources that are available to help you do that. And then kind of, again, going back to your business plan, what's your marketing plan? What are you doing to brand your business? So as I mentioned, we have the equivalent of a chief human resources officer on our team, but we also have a chief financial officer, a chief marketing officer, a chief development officer. So we've got a pretty experienced group of advisors. And again, they're able to provide assistance to small businesses at no charge, thanks to that federal and local funding that we receive. The only requirement is that you register with our business. And so my email address and our website is going to be at the end, and that will give you the link that you need to go online and just request an appointment with us. I mentioned that we're part of a larger statewide network, the Virginia SBDC, and they have special programs that serve businesses throughout the entire state, including Hampton Roads. One team is the International Business Development Team. So if you've done a great job with your market here in Hampton Roads or Virginia, and you want to think about what overseas markets might look like for your product or service, we have a whole team that helps you with international trade. And we partner closely with Virginia Economic Development, too, and their international trade team. Everyone knows that craft beverage has been a real hot topic for the past several years. Everybody wants to start a brewery or some type of artisan bourbon. So we have a craft beverage team that helps with that. ICAP is our Innovation Commercialization Assistance Program. If you have high tech, high innovation, high growth companies, often the type that you think of that are seeking venture capital funds, we have a whole team that assists with that. It's generally around like life sciences, technology, that sort of thing. And then part of the umbrella that administers the Virginia's SBDC program at the state level is George Mason University and PTAC, which I think is now actually rebranded as Apex Accelerators. We're going to talk a little bit more about that group later in the deck. They are the folks that help with government contracting. So if you're ready to get into that generally that federal space, there's a whole team that is going to be able to provide some assistance around that. Here is just a sample of some programming that we do. Again, part of that Virginia SBDC network. These 20 centers that were around the state that prior to the pandemic were all offering programming in person. Well, everybody went online. And so that means that not only do you have access to programs that we do in Hampton Roads, but you have access to the folks in the Capital Region and Mary Washington and George Mason and Roanoke. So you can just see here's an example of some of those classes that are being offered at any given time. QuickBooks 201, Canva, GovCon. We even do how to start a business in Virginia in Spanish. So if you go to Virginia SBDC events, you'll see the calendar listing for all of these programs and more. Okay, so jumping right into the structure of your business, it's a really important decision that you make not only when you're getting started, but also after you're in business for a little while. Sometimes you might want to change your structure. So many businesses that we work with start out as sole proprietors because it's very easy. It's an unincorporated business. If you're doing contracting work or it's just you as an individual that is starting this, like you're a freelancer, you're a consultant, you're a personal trainer, a sole proprietorship could make a lot of sense because it's so easy. There's not a huge barrier entry to do it. The downside is that you have more liability exposure. You are the business. When you're a sole proprietor, so there's not really any legal protections. If something happens, people can go after you personally if there's legal issues. But again, it's very simple to set up. You aren't even required to separate your personal funds from your business funds, although we highly recommend that even if you are a sole proprietor. It's great to have separate bank accounts for your business and your personal funds. As you grow, and maybe you're looking, and sole proprietor is also good when you're kind of testing the idea of your business, right? You might not be ready to become a legal entity with an LLC, for example. You don't need to become a corporation while you're kind of getting it off the ground. Maybe you're not generating a ton of revenue yet. But once you start doing that revenue generation, or maybe you want to bring a partner on board, it's not just you anymore as a sole person running this business. You're going to add a spouse or you're going to add a business partner, then becoming an LLC makes sense. An LLC is also going to have different tax implications than sole proprietor does. But it also offers you a little bit more protection. It protects you from financial and legal liability. But there's more that comes with being a sole proprietor. And at this point, you probably do want to connect with a business attorney. You can do some of this stuff on LegalZoom. But as many of you may have heard, In January of 2024, Congress passed the Corporate Transparency Act. And so if you started your business or you started your LLC after January of this year, it really wouldn't affect you that much, because as you fill out all the necessary paperwork, it would all have the additional steps would have been included, and you really wouldn't have known the difference. If your business is an LLC before January 2024 of this year, and you haven't filed the additional paperwork that you need to comply with the Corporate Transparency Act, you have until the end of this year to get on board. But after that, you could be subject to penalties, and those penalties can be as high as $100 a day. So I would say talk to your attorney, talk to a business attorney, and make sure that you're getting that additional paperwork that is going to be required to comply with the Corporate Transparency Act. So now that we're getting into corporations, LLC, S Corp, C Corp, there is more and more requirements, particularly on the legal side, that come with that. So it's something that you probably even want to talk to an accountant about, because there's different tax implications as you go into S Corp and C Corp away from an LLC too. But oftentimes people look at this like a ladder. Sole proprietor, easy. You can do it overnight practically. LLC comes with more protection, but also you're getting into more complicated tax and reporting structures, and it gets more complicated as you go along. As your business grows and maybe you're getting into $1 million revenues, S Corp and C Corps could make sense for you. If you wanted to take on investors, investors tend to prefer C Corps, so that might be another reason that you would want to evolve with that too. But I think there are advantages and disadvantages to every single category in terms of ease, in terms of reporting requirements, in terms of what your tax liabilities are. Tax liabilities are very different between LLCs, S Corps, and C Corps, and it's important that you talk to a professional about that, particularly your accountant. So that's why I wanted to just drop this slide in here. Your SBDC advisors or SCORE advisors or other mentors that you work with are wonderful resources, but none of us can really replace the professional expertise of some of these folks on this screen. So we like to use, you may have heard a BAIL acronym before, for banker, insurance, attorney, accountant or lawyer. A lot of people say you need your BAIL team. I like this Climb Higher acronym. So the C is for your CPA or your accountant. Lawyer, you need a business attorney, right? Not your brother-in-law that does divorces. Like, you really do want someone who understands business law. An insurance broker that helps protect you and keeps the liability away. We're adding the M for a marketing guru. Right? In this day and age, it's really important that you have a plan for how you're getting the word out about your business and your products and services to the community. Always your business banker is a great resource for you. It can be someone more than just someone that you get a loan from. Many times, your business banker has expertise in your industry and can help you understand like what the marketplace is looking like, what some of your competitors may be doing, because they may have seen that when they're out working with other types of businesses. And then, of course, a human resource professional, particularly as you grow and you add staff and you want to make sure that you've got good employee handbooks, good employee policies. You're really clear about the difference between a staff member and a contractor, and also those tax implications too. So just remember this Climb Higher acronym. It's going to help you as you grow and expand your business, and you're weighing some of those considerations around structure. Do I want to go from an LLC to an S Corp or a C Corp? An attorney and your banker and your CPA are really going to be folks that you might want to get some advice from before you take those steps. Okay, we'll talk a little bit about your SBA certifications. So there's a number of different certifications that the SBA offers. So the SBA is going to be at the federal level. You can be a woman-owned small business, an economically disadvantaged woman-owned small business. There's the 8A program that I'm sure lots of folks have heard you talk about. The 8A program, it can be great, but it requires a pretty hefty commitment. It's a 9-year program. AA is going to help you be eligible for federal contracts at a certain level. That group that I mentioned earlier, PTAC, or I think they've rebranded as Virginia's Apex Accelerators, they are the folks that you want to talk with about AA certification. But with all of these certifications, the Veteran Small Business Certification or the Service Disabled Veteran-Owned Small Business, there's requirements that come with it. And you want to make sure that your business is just getting the certification. It sure could be great, but you want to, it goes back to that marketing plan and your business plan. Why would you get the certification? Like, what are the things that this certification is going to help your business advance? And lots of times that's going to be getting into federal contracting. So federal contracting is a beast. I'm sure you've heard lots of success stories about it, but it requires a lot of preparation on the part of a business, and it also requires that you have some really tight structure. So with 8A, the things they're going to ask you right off the bat is your company generating revenue? Do you have, lots of times federal contracts want to see 3 to 5 years of past performance. They want to see demonstrated track record that you have in doing this exact work that you're going after. They want to see a track record that you're delivering quality goods and services on time and within a budget. They want to know that you can invoice and receive payments electronically. And then the biggest issue that I see with businesses that start to get into not just federal contracting, but even state and local contracts is the ability to cover your costs. So these can be huge contracts that require really large outlays of resources, right? You may have to hire personnel to be able to meet the needs of this contract. You may have to purchase equipment that's going to allow you to meet the need of the contract. Plus, you've got your general overhead expenses that are going on. Can you float all of that until you receive your first payment from the government? And those payments can take months to get to you initially. So you could require a pretty large outlay of cash when you get started with these federal contracts. And you've got to make sure that you have something in place to cover not only the upfront costs, but the carrying costs until you're reimbursed by the federal government. And so then again, that's going back to climb higher. Have you had a conversation with your banker? Are you able to take out a line of credit? Are you aware of things like accounts receivable financing? There's certain companies out there that do that if you can show them your the invoice that you'll have you can show them the contract and that you've got these outstanding invoices, they'll float you the funds to cover that until you get paid, but it's going to be at an interest rate. So as much as these SBA certifications can really help grow and expand your business, you want to make sure that you're prepared for them and you have a plan for why you're getting them. Virginia, the state, also has some certifications. And again, these generally go back to procurement. The reason to get some of these certifications is because you're looking to take advantage of the contracts that potentially come with them. So I'm sure many of you have heard about SWAM. It's small, women-owned, and minority-owned businesses. You can be in any one of those categories. You don't have to be a small, women-owned, and minority-owned business to become SWAM. You can be small, or you can be women-owned, small and women-owned, or minority-owned to get that. And if you have gotten this designation, then I'm sure that you probably know the amazing Angela Barber. She is our contact here in Hampton Roads that helps businesses get this SWAM certification. So she is like, do not pass go, do not stop, go straight to Angie Barber if this is something that you're interested in learning a little bit more about. Virginia also has a Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Designation, DBE, and a Service Disabled Veteran-Owned Business, SDV. So again, many state contracts and even local contracts have targets where they want to see a certain percentage of their contracts go to SWAM businesses or SDV businesses, for example. Here are some resources that will help you with this. If you are interested in any of those SBA certifications, this website, certifysba.gov, has a lot of the information that you would want to check out. Virginia Apex Accelerators /PTAC That is the great group that you want to go to talk about. Again, that they can help you with 8A, but they can also help you just think about federal contracting in general. You may not be ready to go after federal contracts. Oftentimes, they're going to suggest that you have some years working with a local contract, like getting a contract with the city of Chesapeake, and then growing to a contract with the state before you graduate to federal contracts, because they're such a beast. But in the meantime, if you want to explore that, they have a great events calendar. And if you get on that and you just start looking at some of their online programs, that can be a way to get a lot of information and be prepared for when you're ready to pull the trigger. And then SWAM and some of those other state designations that we talked about, the Virginia Small Business Supplier Diversity, SBSD, not to be confused with SBDC. That's a great resource for you too. So here's my contact information. I'm happy to give these slides to Freddie so that she can email them to the group afterwards. You're welcome to reach out to me if you have any questions about this content or you'd like to talk a little bit more about some of the other services that are available from the SBDC. So again, I know that was a lot of information and I do talk fast. It's hopefully just a preview of different things that you can explore, again, as you're growing and expanding your small business, but also happy to take any questions if folks have those.
We can open the floor for any questions if anyone has any. We just like to first thank Jolie for her time.